All right, welcome, everyone. Tonight is now 6:30. This is the regular meeting for the Planning and Zoning Commission. We do have a quorum tonight. You have myself, Derek Parks, Chair, Michael, Vice Chair, Karen is here, Kevin, Susie, member, and the alternate members here, Brian, Vale, and Shelley Brown. City staff, we have Ben here, he just walked away. Director of Development Services, and we have Emma, and she's the Planning Zoning Manager here for the City of Red Oak. We have two consent agenda items tonight, item 1 and item number 2. The first one is the minutes from February 5th of 2024. And the second consent agenda item is a replat, case number P as in Paul, S as in Sam, 24-03, requested by Kimberly Horn. Staff, you have any questions or concerns about the consent agenda items?
No questions.
You can have a motion, please.
I move to approve the consent agenda items. As presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Consent agenda items have been approved. Moving on to the new business, which is number 3. Staff, please. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a conduct a public hearing and consider zoning change from Plan Development 66R5 to Plan Development 66R6 for the development of a convenience store with gas pumps on the site identified with PID number 274599 and located on the northwest corner of Cole Road and Avila Road within the Edmund Shirley Survey, abstract number 1013, City of Red Oak, case number Z as in zebra, C as in cat, 24-01, requested by Matthew Smith.
Good evening, Commissioners. The applicant is requesting that this case be postponed to the next Planning and Zoning meeting.
Okay, thank you. So agenda item 3 has been postponed to the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Moving on to new business, which is number 4, conduct a public hearing and consider a zoning change request from Plan Development 28R to Plan Development 28-R2 for the development of a senior multifamily complex on the property described as Lot 2B, Pleasant Ridge Retirement Community in Ellis County number 230930, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Case number Z as in zebra, C as in cat, 23-45, requested by Ben Talib. Staff, please.
Commissioners, the applicant is, they don't have all the necessary documents for this submittal. So staff is recommending denial without prejudice. And that basically means that they can come back within a year and make an application for the same case. We had a similar recommendation for another case during the last P&Z commission. So they'll have to come back when they have all of their items ready. And this is just so that it keeps it from getting postponed every meeting.
Okay.
And the point is we don't want to keep dragging it out, and 6 months later, they're finally ready, and it's been on the agenda and we're passing it along every time, and then now it feels like to the general public that, you know, something was being hidden, blah, blah, blah. So when they're actually ready to come back, then we'll re-notice in the newspaper and with letters so that people that want to speak on it can come out and speak on it, and not feel like it was done underhandedly in some way or something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Ben, do we need to conduct a hearing now or just make a motion to?
I guess technically if we're good, yes, we need to conduct a hearing, and then the recommendation to council, if you go with staff recommendation, will be to deny without prejudice so they can bring it back within the year. Because if it's denied just straightforward, then they can't bring it back for 1 year.
Thank you, staff. This is a public hearing. Those in favor of this item, you can speak first. Please state your name and your address. Those who have questions, you can speak second, or if you just have questions in general, please state your name and your address, please. So the floor is open. Nothing? So can I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I move to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Public hearing has been closed. Yes, commissioners, I guess we got this. So. No, there's a document that was provided.
So I move that we deny this item without prejudice. That's sufficient motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Agenda item 4 has been,
And I'm assuming staff will bring back these comments from the public when it's back.
Yes, yes, we'll keep them on record.
okay. Agenda item 4 has been, recommended for denial without prejudice. Move along to the next new business, which is number 5. Discussion with economic development staff concerning economic development chapter of the comprehensive plan.
Good evening. I'm John Knight. I'm the Assistant Director of Economic Development. Here tonight to just talk a little bit about how we work with planning and zoning as part of the bigger picture. So it's one team, right? The city has many departments, but we really have to coordinate to make sure that we're recruiting industries and businesses that match with the comprehensive plan and fit the zoning and are desirable to our residents. So in the plan, the very first paragraph, I think, does a really good job of summarizing what we do. We're here to grow and diversify the tax base, expand that tax base, promote new investment, grow jobs. If you read through it later on, it talks about business retention. You know, there's no use in going out and working really hard to recruit new business if we don't keep it. A lot of that's workforce development, partnering with partners like TSTC to get them trained workers. We're working on some stuff right now with industry clusters. We know that we've had success with Carbon and Bombardier. So we asked them for their vendors that they want to be here. We got a referral from Carbon last week from a company from California that's considering moving. It's probably a 2 to 5 year, and it might not even come to fruition. But having that recommendation from an existing business that says Red Oak's a great place to do business with, they'll do what they say they want to do, they'll treat you right. That goes a long ways to getting us on the list. I'm guessing that company probably never even heard of Red Oak before the introduction. So it was much appreciated. We'll continue to do that. Then the other part of that is really all of this is designed to give our residents a better quality of life, to have things that if they want to work in town, they can, that if they want to eat in town, if they want to be entertained, that those opportunities are here. So that's kind of a very broad overview, and I'm happy to answer any specific questions. Thank you. Yeah.
Commissioners, I have anything you want to discuss? No.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
did have a question. So we're talking about jobs, economic development. A lot of the big projects that have come into Red Oak have been these large data centers that don't employ a lot of workers. So can you tell a little bit about some objectives that you're trying to solicit that actually do bring a lot of jobs besides what you were just referencing?
Yeah. So retail, restaurants, and are those, you know, can a city survive on all of those jobs? Of course not, right? But it is a good mix, and we do have people that do work in those industries and make very, very good wages. Then it's also great for, you know, part-time folks, kids, et cetera. The aerospace clusters is one of the things that we're really trying to build out because we've already got some proof of concept that it works. We've got some very reputable companies in that industry that are willing to say, yes, we do a good job. We are very active in recruiting. We get emails probably on a monthly to weekly basis from the state of Texas, from the governor's office, that says we've got project X. They're looking for 200 acres for a electronic vehicle manufacturer. It needs this much water, this much sewer, this much electricity, this many miles to a highway. I was telling Kevin beforehand, I used to serve on the Economic Development Board here in 2007. And I always thought, well, this is pretty easy. They come in and they say, we're going to invest this amount of money. We're going to give you this amount of jobs and we need this type of incentive to make you the winner. Yes or no? Boy, it does not start that way. So it's a pretty comprehensive list they'll give you. And you might say, we've got 7 of these things. This 8th thing we don't have. Is this a deal breaker? And then you respond to their RFPs. We also do that with the Dallas Regional Chamber. We regularly attend trade shows. Lee McCleary is the director. He's my boss. When I've been here since August 1st, so 7 months or so. When I first got here, I already had on my calendar from a friend, an event, and it was 4 heads of defense contractors. And Lee had been to a similar meeting about 2 weeks before I went. And so we came back, we looked those folks up on LinkedIn, we reached out to them and we got a meeting with one of those large defense contractors. And it's just about telling our story. I think a lot of times is what great economic development does is you got to tell that story over and over. Today, we were on a phone with 12 brokers that represent lifestyle, retail, entertainment brands. And they're in Dallas and have a friend that works for them. And he got us into their staff meeting and we just told them the great stuff about Red Oak. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you see as some of the largest obstacles with these businesses? What do they look at Red Oak and say, you're missing this, or you need more of this or less of this?
Yeah. So in retail, it's always about rooftops, houses, people, right? Also, we've kind of shown a propensity to drive to Waxahachie, Cedar Hill, Mansfield, Midlothian, Dallas. So it's, why would I cannibalize my store in Waxahachie to build one in Red Oak? We're getting real close to that critical mass where those conversations are a lot more exciting than they were in 2007, as you can imagine. So that is kind of a natural evolution that will take place. One of the real problems with some of those really large manufacturing sites is a lot of the land that we've got left is on the east side where we don't have sewer. That's actually one of the reasons the data centers work so well is they don't congest the roads. They have great fire suppression. They have security. So they're very low users of city services and they're really large capital expenditures. So they're taxed at a really high rate. But yeah, sewer's definitely an obstacle.
Any plans for that sewer, that issue you're talking about? Or how do you counter that?
Yeah,
I'll take that.
I looked right at it.
Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
No, so basically east of 342, it all goes away from the sewer plant as far as the grade. It all falls towards I-45. And so there's no real good way to get sewer to go back uphill to the plant, which is kind of off Bell's Chapel, without building a huge series of lift stations, which are astronomically expensive and big time maintenance headaches. Now it can be done. It's just cost benefit, right? If we're putting something in and then we're tying buildings to it that are going to have to stay that way forever. It is difficult to come up with the necessary capital and get payback on that in a reasonable amount of time. We did look at kind of a regional study that included bringing in like Ferris and Palmer and Waxahachie to try to see if something more regionally could be done, but it was on the scale of hundreds of millions of dollars, which of course we don't have. We don't have bonding capacity for nearly any of that, but Palmer and Ferris have even less, right? So unless there's some kind of countywide effort, it's probably a long way away. But we have looked at it and it's just not economically a viable choice with no other sewer plant nearby.
That's a pretty big obstacle.
Yes, it is super challenging and not having not having a plan is even more challenging, because all it takes is looking at the topography of the region and going, well, here's where a plant would go. But it's 12 miles pipe to get it there, and that's just to serve some of us. So then, well, how do we get other people involved? Well, they're even smaller than we are and have even less economic viability than we do, so. Yes, it's tough.
Even though the data centers don't have a lot of headcount once they're up and running, what multiplier do you use on the revenue that's generated by those that multiplies in the community?
Yeah, I can tell you a project we're looking at right now has 65 primary jobs and 178 total jobs. And it's $5.5 million of payroll.
Okay. And that 5.5 turns into what locally after it? Do you have a number that you come up
No.
with, or that,
No, that's as far as
okay,
the calculator takes it down. You know, that's an industry average and what's expected from a project. Of course, you know, did that construction worker drive here from Dallas? So it's a little bit different impact. We know there's impact. We know that compared to other projects, there's probably nothing that's going to cost us less.
I was just curious, small town where I used to live and work had a, small university that had like a $6 million payroll.
Yeah.
And this was a long time ago. And they figured by the time the money circulated through the economy, it generated $18 million
Yeah.
in actual benefit to the community. So even though these, data centers have a small head count, that money multiplies when it hits the community. I was curious
Absolutely.
If we knew how much.
More of the focus is on the actual structure values,
Mhm.
and the ad valorem values that come to the city. Because like you're saying, they use far less in terms of public safety. We don't need a bunch of roadway networks going to them. They're not tearing up the roads because they have, 1,000 workers, so on and so forth. So all of a sudden our parks budget can get real big, and our other street capital budgets can get more, more influx of cash into them. So it's more it's less of a jobs impact and more of a very efficient use of tax dollars that come in at a high value.
Right.
So that's more, when we're having the discussions with them, that's more of the benefit that, internally at the city we see, and less externally through, people spending more money. It's more like, man, now we can have a really cool park system because of these things. Not that that's where it's all going, but just in general, you get a bigger budget, then everybody gets a little more for their department.
Yeah, do quality of life items while compressing taxes. So it's a big win for our residents. All right, anything else?
Right now.
If y'all ever have questions, feel free to reach out to Emma or Ben. We're happy to help. Welcome any calls. Thanks.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you so much. Commissioners, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Everybody was stuck.
Thank you for all the